Yes, welcome everyone to the inaugural Superachiever Studio with Pilot Ronald Wayne Trumble. Today, yay, historic. Today, and we have, besides the people whose videos are showing, we have a whole group of people that have joined us today. And today is the culmination of a lot of research. I talked to 189 superachievers, and Pilot Ron was one of the superstars of the superachievers. And I discovered 5 behavioral traits that all of the superachiever superstars had in common, especially Pilot Ron. And today's topic is going to be stepping outside your comfort zone. And the other 4, just so you know, were transforming adversity into opportunity, self-exploration. Often the people who hit it really big did this after going on a trip or a journey or just taking a long shower and thinking about what's next. Zigzagging. This means you may have an important major goal in life, but you don't go straight for it. Instead, you go to the side and try different things and then have some failures and then get back on track and then go in another direction. And eventually you get to the finish line. And finally, full throttle focus. And it really takes that to accomplish a major goal. So it is my pleasure to introduce Pilot Ronald Wayne Trumble today.
I've always loved aviation and heights, and my father was a paratrooper in World War II, and I admired that. When I first became actually interested in flying airplanes, I was at a young age of I don't know, 14 or 15, I think it was 15 years of age. I took a couple of flight lessons and I was hooked. I just absolutely loved it. But I couldn't afford the flight lessons, and my parents couldn't afford the flight lessons. My father had passed away when I was in a young age, so my mother raised 5 kids, and that's how I had to stop. But the dream never left. When I moved to Hawaii, believe it or not, in my 50s, I told myself, you know, Ron, you can do this. Go back to your original dream. Go back to it. It never left you. Prepare yourself. So I looked at what you had to do to qualify to be a pilot. And the first thing was like you had to get your medical, your health in good condition. So I was 218 pounds. And I dropped from 218 down to 155 pounds in order to just pass my flight medical. Did that, accomplished that. I had a little money saved, took the flight lessons, passed everything the first time around, and the rest is just history. And I just absolutely love flying these airplanes. I own my own airplane now. I would say to anyone out there trying to accomplish a goal, read this book. Go get the book online or order the book. You'll find a story in this book that says, that's me, I can do this, I will do this, and you will do it. You'll go out there and do it.
Pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Ronald Wayne Trumble. And I just have a few final words to say that some of you have known me a long time, and there have been times when I have been blocked. I have not been able to obtain major goals. And meeting Pilot Ron and basically mentoring with him really transformed my life. I had apprehensions about major things and minor things. And when you surround yourself with someone who's encouraging and who on a daily basis steps outside of their comfort zone, you start to believe in your own self. And that's really what Pilot Ron's going to share with us today. So now, without further ado, I will turn it over to Pilot Ron, who's going to start by talking about his background, so you can see that he came from very humble beginnings, and if he can do it, anyone can. So take it away, Pilot Ron. Tell us about your background and how you got started.
My background, I lived in a small town, East Texas town, grew up, and my father was in the military, but he passed away when I was about 13. And, my mother had 6 children, and she had to raise all 6 of us by herself. So we ended up living in the projects. I had no idea what the projects meant, but it was a very humbling experience, trust me. And so we were raised that way, and but I can remember washing out the same shirt and the same pair of pants every single day, so I'd have something clean to wear to school the next day. So you can, um, that's how that started. And then I went in the Marine Corps in 1969, accomplished that, got that over with, and into the music business in Nashville, Tennessee, and retired in my 40s. Moved to Hawaii. I've been here about 16 years now, but my original dream was to fly airplanes, and so I took a couple of flight lessons when I was about I don't know 13 or 14 years of age, and but we couldn't afford the flight lessons. So once I retired and had the resources and the time to invest in my dream, I went back to it. I can remember standing in Walmart with 3 ladies, and I said, you know what, I think I'm going to fly airplanes. You could hear a pin drop, and I thought they were going to just start laughing at me right there on the spot, And and I said, well, I'm going to do more than that. I'm not only going to get my pilot license, I'm going to lose weight. Yeah, you could hear a pin drop when I told these ladies that I wanted to be a pilot. They never knew I had a dream way back, in the day when I was just a small child, a small guy growing up. That flying airplanes was one of my dreams, and so I thought they were going to start laughing right there on the spot. So I was determined that's what I was going to do. A year later, that's when I got my pilot license, and I dropped, like Molly said in her book, from 218 pounds down to 155 pounds in 1 year. Jogging, exercising, got my health in good shape, and so you can do it. It can be accomplished at any age. Even if you're an older person, if you've got enough determination, you can do it. Preparation is a big thing. You have to prepare, do your homework. There's no 2 ways about it. Any questions?
Well, can you tell everyone about the day that you broke that altitude record?
It was like any other day. I was flying, and I thought, well, I'll do a circle island, go around the entire big island of Hawaii, which is about a 3-hour flight. But then I got to looking up at Mauna Loa, which is one of the tallest mountains around Hawaii, and I could see that there were no clouds up there. And I thought, well, I wonder how high I could get to Mauna, if I could get to at least around about 13,000 feet, which is the limit for the airplane. Well, the winds were blowing, and I noticed that the airplane just kept going higher and higher and higher. I reached 15,000 feet at Mauna Loa, and I thought, well, I see Mauna Kea in the background there, and let's go there. So I went to Mauna Kea. The winds were blowing from the north, and I got what they call an updraft. The winds, you've got a mountain like this, and the winds are coming like this, and then the wind goes up and then over the other side of the mountain. Well, I was at the top, and when the wind came like this, it propelled the airplane higher, and it was like riding a roller coaster but going up. And it was exhilarating. It was so much fun. Looked over at my altimeter, and it was 18,500 feet. And I started snapping pictures with my camera because I knew that no one would believe it. I didn't even believe it. That's
Wow.
Excellent.
That's
What?
awesome. I have a question, if I could get
Sure.
one in quickly. Ron, when you're in I've only been in a passenger in a small plane, probably even smaller than your Cessna. I had a cousin that's a pilot. That's my closest experience. When you've got like a great day like that with favorable conditions, how is it possible in a small plane to kind of feel it, or is that all data driven for the most part? Knowing when you'll get those winds.
Okay, I knew it was a very windy day, and but there have been several pilots over the years that have been trying to uh, get a certain altitude in a Cessna 172. The best that anyone had ever gotten was about 15,000 feet. But I checked what we call an ATIS report, A-T-I-S. You can look that up. It's called an ATIS report. Right before you take off at any airport, you have to get this ATIS report. It gives your altimeter settings and your wind conditions at the local airport and your altimeter setting. And so I knew it was a windy day, and that was in the back of my mind that possibly I could get higher than 15,000 feet. And that's really all I was trying to accomplish, is just take some pictures at the top of the mountain of the NASA telescopes that are up there, because at that altitude, that's at 14,000 feet. So I got way above that, and of course started taking the pictures, the photographs of the telescopes, and then when I Googled Google Earth and compared the pictures along with my altimeter as well, I was way above the 18,000 feet. And so then I started doing a little bit of research, and I told a friend of mine who's a retired NASA scientist and moved over here a few years ago, and he also flies a Cessna 172. And I sent him the photographs, and he said, "Ron, I don't know if you realize it or not, but you just broke a record." I said, "Nah, there's no way." I had no idea that I even broke a record. All I knew that it was very, very high that day. And then he started doing more research, and then he sent paperwork to Cessna Airplane, and they came back and said, "That's a record, no doubt."
That's awesome.
I'm kind of proud of that. Yeah.
That's a great question. So you will see in the materials section of your control panel, there's a takeaway, and it's called "You Can Do This." And we came up with 5 steps that people can emulate. And Pilot Ron, do you want to talk a little bit about preparation? Because I know that's step 1. When you're going to take a calculated risk, preparation is key, and I know that you're extremely good at that. Can you speak to that a bit?
Well, going up and just flying at 18,000 feet, I think Vivian just left us there.
Oh, no, her screen is paused, but she's here.
Oh, okay. Hi, Vivian. So, yes.
Okay.
There she is, that red dress. Preparation, you've got to prepare for anything that you want to do. If you want to accomplish a goal, you've got to prepare, do your homework. If I were just flying along and knowing that 18,000 feet is a very dangerous altitude to be in a small airplane, they are not made to fly that high. But they can fly that high if you if you prepare yourself for it. So preparations, is a must, because once you reach, let me give you an example of that. Once you reach 12,000 feet, you have to have oxygen. Well, on that particular day, I always carry my oxygen in my airplane, but I really didn't think I would need it, but I ended up needing it. So preparation is a thing. I had it over in the seat, put the oxygen on once I reached 12,000 feet, because you can get hypoxia, you can pass out. There's a lot of different things that can happen to you very, very fast. And it's kind of like being on laughing gas. You don't know that you're in trouble until you're in trouble, and then it's too late. And that's what's happened to several pilots in the past. So preparation, a must.
Excellent. And I know you do that with everything. So that's the first words of wisdom. The next thing is the company you keep. And so, as I was saying, surrounding yourself with people that take risks, calculated risks, really makes a difference. And I guess I'd like to ask everybody on the call, do you hang out with risk takers? Any of you? Yeah, Larry? Yeah, a bit. It go ahead.
Just think about it. People who don't take any risk, you know, they don't accomplish. They don't accomplish anything. I mean, I can see folks eating the potato chips, sitting on the couch, watching television all day long, and then they wonder why they don't accomplish their goals. Well, you know, you have to get out there and surround yourself with good people, the kind of people that are trying to not necessarily accomplish the same goals that you're trying to accomplish, but they're goal oriented. In other words, they go out there and get it. Molly is a perfect example of that. Perfect example of that. She's up at, I understand, at 2 o'clock in the morning, still on her computer.
Yeah,
She's a go-getter. I mean, she's
I
accomplishing the
try.
beautiful book that she's got right now. That's a perfect example I can give you right there.
Oh, thank you.
Surround yourself with good people who are oriented to accomplish goals in their lives, and uh, so
And Pilot
that's a
Ron,
big key. Yeah.
it also includes limiting surrounding yourself with to negative, right? You can't when
Well,
you're
of course.
yeah, when you're going through something like this, you have I mean, obviously the naysayers they're out there, especially when you're trying to do something big, but if you can limit your exposure to those that are not supportive, that helps too. With yeah.
That's true. And that's why I really, that's one thing I enjoy about being at the airport. I go there every day, of course. Yesterday, you know, flying yesterday. Uh, and you walk in that secure area, and you know, the minute you put your code in, you go in that gate, you're surrounded by other pilots who love aviation, who love doing the same thing that you're doing, and they back you up. Like when I flew that high altitude, you know, everybody was patting me on the back and congratulating us. What for? I said, well, you know. So the encouragement that you get from your fellow person out there, you know, surround yourself with good people. If you, it's just been remarkable for me.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Step three, self-reliance. And they don't teach that in school, but that's really where it has to come intrinsically from inside. Where do you get your self-reliance, Pilot Ron?
Well, I think it comes naturally for me. I've always been a little bit of a risk taker, but I evaluate everything very carefully. But I have made my mistakes. Don't get me wrong, but mistakes is part of the self-reliance. You're going to make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, but learn from those mistakes and keep going, and keep going forward. You know,
Excellent. Excellent. And that's basically where when you fall down, you get back up on your own. It's so important, and you just got to find it deep within yourself. It's there. It really is there, deep within each of us. And again, the company you keep can help with that. So another thing that I've noticed about you, Pilot Ron, is this do it now. You just you're ready to go, and you don't procrastinate. You don't
well,
get
procrastination's not in my vocabulary. That's for
no.
sure.
Well, how did you develop that? I mean, a lot of us may have thoughts about things, but you like go do it. You do it now. How?
Well, I think that part of that, Molly, comes from being raised the way I was in Texas. We were so poor that you know if you didn't grab that last piece of chicken on the table, you're left out. I mean, that's just the way it is. And so you know you had to always be on your toes and
And then the final step is do it later. And
especially
that,
by the way. Vivian.
yeah, the do it later part is just how you put off all those years ago when you were a teenager. You first started flying, and then you had to set it aside, and you came back to it in your 50s. Can you talk about, how you got back to that place?
Well, to be very honest with you, I retired at 42 from the music industry in Nashville, Tennessee, and moved to Hawaii, and I was bored.
Yeah.
I traveled all over the world already, so you know, I was just And I got to thinking one day, I said, I really would like to do something that, you know, really can excite me. What is that thing I'd like to do? It was flying airplanes. So not only did I started flying airplanes, I started jumping out of airplanes.
Yeah.
And people said, well, why did you jump out of a perfectly good airplane? And here's my answer. I said, I wanted to get over you ready for this one, folks? I wanted to get over my fear of heights.
Whoa. You had a fear of heights? Tell us about
I
that.
had a fear of heights. And so I said to myself, I took another flight lesson at the airport here in Hawaii, scared the living daylights out of me. And the instructor took me up and said, "You've got the controls, Ron. Now, told me what to do." I can remember when I got out of the airplane, you could wring my shirt out.
Oh.
So much sweat in my shirt.
Oh, geez.
So I thought to myself, how can you get over this fear, Ron? I mean, it's just other people do it, you can do it. And I went to Honolulu, started taking some lessons for skydiving, and I'll never forget, my feet were dangling there, and I'm looking down, and there was nothing but clouds. And I told the instructor, I said, if I don't jump out of the airplane, shove me out of the airplane. And that's exactly what he did.
He had to push you.
He shoved me, he pushed me out of the airplane. I was on my own. And then once I got out and went through the clouds and I could see the ground, I looked at my altimeter watch and I knew when to pull the cord and said, this is so much fun. Went back up and did it 3 more times.
That same day?
That same day.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
So getting in an airplane after that experience, getting inside an airplane and flying, it was like, oh boy, this is fun now. And I haven't had a problem since.
Oh, that's great.
Awesome.
That's great.
Skydiving is awesome. I love it too.
Oh, good. You've done it.
Yes, I have. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Excellent.
Good.
So what advice do you have to the people with us today and those that are going to watch us later to step out of their comfort zone, that are stuck, that are afraid?
Stuck?
Yeah.
Well, I can only speak for myself and my experience, but I do realize that the other people have other issues and other problems. You can't fault people for not necessarily accomplishing their goals. There may be underlying problems. There may be some, abuse in their family. They people coming back from the war. So you have to go back and see what the problem is, and then try to address that problem, and then go forward from there. But preparation is everything. Preparation is everything. You've got to prepare yourself.
Excellent. Does anyone have any questions for Pilot Ron, or does anyone want to talk about a goal that they're thinking about embarking on? Well, we have a serial superachiever who steps out of their comfort zone every day. Anything you want to share, maybe about something that you've been thinking about doing?
I can see Laura here. Is it Laura?
Larry.
Okay, can't see don't have my glasses on. Sorry about that. You appear to me to have a question, or you have something in your own life that you'd like to share with us. I can just.
Thank you, Ron. Yeah, I just listening to your story, very inspirational and very encouraging. I just got out of a meeting as I was coming to this, and literally everything in my life feels like popcorn of manifesting abundance. Everything's shifting. So many beautiful things are coming to my life, and thank you. What's coming up for me now, because everything that I've ever dreamed and desired is literally falling into my lap, not without all the effort and work and energy that I've been putting into it, but I'm finding like this feeling of anxiety or great anticipation, and I go into the space of, am I worthy of this? Do I know enough? Am I educated enough? Who am I to be in this beautiful space of this very powerful movement that I'm a part of creating? So when you were in those pivotal points of like a tipping point and you knew greatness was just right there, did you experience any fear or doubt or any type of lower energy vibration? If you did, what were some tips or tricks or techniques that you used to help your physical being to transport through that to the other side, to be able to accomplish all of the amazing things that you've accomplished?
All of the above, by the way.
Good. I'm glad I'm not alone.
Here's something that I always think about. If your dreams don't scare the hell out of you, they're too small.
Good. Okay. Well, I'm there.
Yeah,
Great. Awesome.
Dream awesome. You have to just do your own thing and run your own race and live your own life, and you will know in your heart of hearts. No one can tell you, if you're ready, if you're not ready. You're going to know if you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
If I, when I do things, I know when I'm ready, and I know when I'm not ready. And I can kid myself and say, well, I'm ready, but in my heart, I know I'm not ready about something.
Mm-hmm.
And go back and see where you're not ready about something, and study more, whatever it is you need to do more, and when the time is right, you're going to know it. But if you're saying that everything's kind of going your way, well, that's a blessing in disguise, believe me, because it hasn't always been that way for me. I've had to crawl, and I've had to, strive at every single little thing I've ever done in life. Nothing really came easy, like the flying. That first lesson after years, I went up, and when I got out of the airplane, this is the truth, I threw up.
Oh.
It scared me so bad. It didn't really scare me. It's just I wasn't accustomed to flying in small airplanes. And but now, like yesterday, the fog is so thick here in Hawaii. I was flying along the Hamakua coastline, looking down at my instruments, and then all of a sudden I look up, and everything is black out there. I mean, I couldn't even see the ground. I couldn't see anything. So I immediately went back to my instruments, training, preparation, and flew myself out of that bad situation. So yeah, you can go for it. Yeah, it sounds like you're on the right track too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it has not come easy. There's definitely a beautiful journey of amazing life experiences and lessons to lead me to this exact point. It has only literally been probably in the last 60 days that I feel like I'm in the vortex and things are flowing to me, things are making sense, the dots are connecting. All of the people and key players to the project I'm working on have always been coming to me, but they're coming to me in a higher vibration and in more activated space, that they're actually literally in the place of being able to support me in the next level. So I totally relate, like coming through, I feel like the lotus, 100%, and my blooming through the mud right now.
And when you have failures, don't worry about those, because failure is the innovator's best friend.
Yep, I agree, 100%. There is no failure. There's only beautiful life lessons and experiences, and it's how I perceive everything is the reality that I get to walk in.
Well,
and cleaning up my perception, changing my goggles.
Congratulations.
That's awesome, Larry.
I'll have whatever she's having for
breakfast. Okay.
Here you go. I'm sending it over.
And Larry, you bring up something that's so critical. The thoughts that go through our minds on a daily basis are our reality. So we can think ourselves, I'm reading right now, Think and Grow Rich. We can think ourselves in any direction we want, good or bad. So those thoughts, we've got to constantly, fill them with love and joy and happiness and self-fulfillment. Excellent. Well, congrats. Anybody else have a comment? Or I know, Vivian, you are remarkable at accomplishing goals, and you have such beautiful, two of the most beautiful girls I've ever seen in my life. They're just incredible. You're the best mom. You have this job. I don't know if you can see Vivian's office, but her office is bigger than my entire house. It's
It's good back there,
yeah,
Vivian.
yeah, it's really beautiful where you work, your job, the work you're doing, helping heal young children and prevent bad chemicals, cleaning chemicals, and you write so beautifully. I mean, you can accomplish anything you put your mind to. You're just a great person to know, a big light that I'm drawn to. Yeah. Yes.
Just remember the 5 deadly toxins, and that's complaining, criticizing,
Yeah.
gossiping, worrying, and procrastination.
Yeah. There you go. That's a good one. Yeah, we've got to stay away from. I'm guilty of some of those at times, but yes, good point. And Catherine, who's quietly sitting here, made her way through UCLA with a PhD in marketing. Something
Oh, wow.
few women
Well,
have achieved ever, and I've had the pleasure of teaching with her at Pepperdine. Is so brilliant, and really helped me get the book. It wouldn't be a book without all your help, Catherine. You're just incredible.
well, I don't know about that, but thank you. I did have one quick story for Larry that what you were saying and just the fact that you asked, Ron, and you wondered reminded me of myself when I was younger. I'm pretty sure you're quite a bit younger than me, but when I first was a professor, I used to teach MBA students, and I think my first job back at Notre Dame, and that's where I went to undergrad, and I had an advocate there that was like kind of a towering guy in the field. He has the most widely used um, consumer behavior textbook, which I helped him as a grad student just kind of edit, and he had the most cited article ever. You know how Google's algorithm is based on citations. That's how the pecking order in academics. So
Wow.
he was like the guy, right? And I guess I didn't feel that stressed or anything, but it was a little intimidating that first year going in and teaching when you're only like 27 yourself, and I'm wondering, can I publish and do teaching and do all this stuff? But it's just your first year or two as a professor are really stressful, and he always came off as, if anything, kind of arrogant. He earned it because he knew what he was talking about. He was a big deal within his field, but he's kind of an arrogant guy. And he finally, that year, we were just sitting around. He said one time that, my first year, he came out of Stanford and was at your alma mater, Molly.
Uh,
Uh,
Purdue?
yeah, Purdue for his
Oh,
first job, and he thought he was going to get fired for sure. He told me. He said
wow.
it took a while to get, my first publications, and I thought for sure I was going to get fired. And I mean, my jaw just dropped. I would have never ever guessed that he was in that position early in his career. So that was a really like light bulb gone experience to me. That all these people, especially men, really put out the confidence. That a lot of them have these moments too, where they didn't know what was going on at first, and it took them a little struggle to get there too. And yeah, that one little casual conversation made me look at things and put things in perspective a lot more. It really was helpful to realize that even the most accomplished people, you know, may have been worried they were a total screw up when they first started. And I've had that experience to a lesser extent several times since. I realized it's more common than you think it is.
It's so beautiful, Catherine. And we
Wow.
yeah, we cannot give up. I'm reading this book where this gold miner gave up, sold his equipment, and he was only 3 feet away from the largest gold strike ever. And he sold his equipment to someone the
Oh,
next week who hit it. And that, the people who do make it hang in there. And Pilot Ron, have you found that's been the case with you? You've had to hang in there long after
Oh,
maybe others would have thrown in the towel.
well, it's something. We'll get back to aviation. Let me answer the question this way: 80%, or maybe even a little higher than 80% of all people who take flight lessons never succeed. They stop. They fly a few lessons, or they'll get right up to the point where they go take their written test, and then they never come back. They'll spend $15,000
Wow.
on flight lessons, and then they never come back, or they'll get their private pilot license, and they never fly again. They just want to accomplish that one thing. But you know, you can always measure your success by the reputation that you build, the mastery of your craft, and the value that you create for yourself.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Excellent. Well, good, good. Well, I have a quick poll. There we go. Here's the results. 80% did the right thing. You said you could do it. And training isn't a bad thing either. Excellent.
I don't know which one's better.
Well, good. All right, we've got one more poll. Excellent. All right. Very good. Let me close the poll, share the results. There we have the results. Pilot Ron, what would you say would have been your answer that I didn't have here?
Well, I hope too soon. I'm obviously by myself on this one.
Okay. Well, I guess that maybe that goes back to self-reliance as well.
Again, it's relying on myself, because I just don't rely on other people. I never have, and just never will. I guess.
Okay.
I trust my own judgment.
All right, and so let me close up. Let me see. Back to material polls. Hang on. Let me just close this.
But that's interesting. You have 40-40 split on everything else there.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna just we're in our final moments of our first ever. A side note for everybody: this is real powerful technology. There are materials that are stored here that you can download, and there's links to the video I showed at the beginning, including Pilot Ron's record-breaking video, and it's here. I have this technology, so if anyone wants to take advantage of it and use it in any way, we can have up to 200 people. There are more people on this call that aren't sharing their webcam and speaking today, and they're listening in. When I finish, you'll get a brief evaluation. I hope you'll share your thoughts, because this is just the first one. But before we go, Pilot Ron, do you have any final words of wisdom to share with us super achievers in training? As we sharpen up our skills and stepping outside of our comfort zone, anything we can do today to just get in the saddle and take on those things that we're avoiding or not quite there yet, or I guess in Larry's case, on the precipice of, you're at that summit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just run your own race and do your own thing and live your own life. Don't live somebody else's life, or try to live somebody else's life. Live the life you were meant to live. And that's to live somebody else or be someone else, or just be who you are, and always be true to yourself. If you be true to yourself, you'll always succeed.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, I thank you so much, Pilot Ron, for all your time. I know this is a busy time for you, and we're so grateful. Thank you for letting me share your remarkable story. I know it's helping many people, and I thank you all. I know you're in the middle of your busy days, and it was so nice to beam in, and I feel like you're here right next to me, all of you, and I care deeply. I want to hear from you and know what I can do to help you, because I believe in each of you, and I know you can accomplish all your goals, and I hope I can be part of your advisory team. So I'm going to sign off, and thank you all. I think tell us about the symbol, Pilot Ron. I know
that's the Shaka symbol here in Hawaii.
Yeah.
There you go. You got it.
Yeah. So I thought it was fitting, and thank you. I know we've got somebody from South Dakota, yes, and Hawaii.
Yes, I am jealous of you right now, for sure. Well, it's finally warm here.
If any of you ladies are ever in Hawaii, I don't know how many's listening on the phone or other places, but the ladies that I'm looking at here, if you're ever in Hawaii, look me up. I promise to give you a free plane ride over the volcano.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah, you guys have a wonderful friend now, indeed. Well, thank you all so much for your time, And we'll have more of these in the future, but I can't thank you all enough. And I'll see you all soon, I hope.